Yeah, so my name is Colton Lindsay. I'm from Ogden, Utah. I've been in the real estate industry for 14 years. I have a real estate sales team, a real estate brokerage, and a real estate training academy. That's me, and above all, I'm a freaking dad with some awesome kids.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So you've been in Utah your whole life?
Yeah, so I grew up here in Utah. I spent a couple of years when I was 19 for the Mormon church in Brazil. So I was knocking doors, selling the church. And then I've traveled a bunch too, from Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay. I did a bunch in Southeast Asia as well. Did a lot of time in Thailand. So I've just experienced a lot of different things out of the country as well.
Right. And that was all through like your Mormon work, or?
So for a couple of years when I was in Brazil was when I was with the church, but the rest was just going and experiencing. I've gone back to Brazil several times, and then also in Thailand. When I first was married to my wife, we backpacked there for a while.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'd love to travel to all those countries. Something I've always wanted to do coming out of university, but the time and money sometimes is restricting. Would you agree with that?
No, I wouldn't. I would say your belief is restricting, right? Don't need resources. You need to be resourceful. Find resources, find a way. You ever read the book Think and Grow Rich? In there, the idea that people think is, hey, I have to become rich financially. And reality, rich starts with a thought, moves to an emotion, and it manifests and creates. Just like with this program you guys are doing here, someone had the thought and you guys took action to be able to do it, and you got resourceful. You got onto a Zoom call, you started looking online, you started finding people, you started reaching out, you created that email template, and now we're having a conversation just like you guys did with that school teacher. Everything is about becoming resourceful, not having the resources. You create resources from being resourceful. Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. Do you think people often place these restrictions on themselves through life experiences, or do you think it comes from other things?
That's all of the above, right? So, I mean, in the community you grow up in, the parents that you have, the school you attend, the religion that you're a part of, like, for example, you're going to have a different level of beliefs of what's possible or not possible if you're born in Canada compared to if you're born in the royal family in the UK, right? Like, it's just the reality of it. And so you can shift your beliefs and your perception, though. And how you have to do that is through three ways. One is create a new vision of the future and train your brain to see new possibilities. The second way is to create new historical events in the moment. You do something different right now that you don't normally do, and that creates a new history. And the third way is you go back and you reprogram your perception of your past, right? So for example, when you were a little kid, you might have done something that like made you feel like you weren't good enough. One of my experiences was I spilled red punch on my parents' brand new carpet before they moved into their house, and they beat the shit out of me, right? But as a kid, I thought that I wasn't good enough for my mom and my dad. And really looking back, as I reframe it, listen, my parents were in their mid-20s building their house. It's already financially stressful. And here their little kid goes and spills punch on, and now they got to replace the carpet before they've moved into the house. That's probably a bit frustrating, right? And they may have reacted out of a little bit of frustration and impatience and irritation. You follow me here? And so I can reframe that, and I can actually see that as a gift, because through life, it made me think I wasn't good enough. So I worked harder to prove myself through success. And now I've busted my ass to build a badass business. And now I can look back and realize, you know what, like that thing that I thought was actually, I wasn't good enough and I had to prove myself, was actually one of my greatest strengths and my greatest gifts. You follow?
Yeah. So that's kind of stuck with you since that moment, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't realize it in the moment, but as I look back and I could see defining moments, that was one of the defining moments. We have a lot of these, what I call stack-on effects. And from the time you're born, I mean, truthfully, you carry on the patterns and the beliefs of your parents and your grandparents and your ancestors, because it's a cellular memory. And so you come kind of programmed based on your lineage. Doesn't mean you have to stay there, though. You can shift your reality.
Yeah, I think a lot of your content is about just like pushing past your boundaries that you've set upon yourself. Is that what kind of motivated your YouTube channel?
No, truthfully it wasn't, right? When I first started my YouTube channel, it was when YouTube was kind of coming on strong in the late, 2008, 2009. I was starting to get into it, and I started making prospecting videos in 2010 because I thought it would help me get more buyers and sellers in my real estate business. And what I found out is it just helped inspire and influence real estate agents in general to get motivated and to get moving in their business. So it wasn't even like, I didn't even plan it to be like that.
Right. So the content kind of fell into your lap, it sounds like.
Kind of, right? You ever read the book Outliers? Amazing book by Malcolm Gladwell that talks about like Steve Jobs and, Bill Gates. You and I couldn't be Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. Number one, we weren't born in that time frame. Number two is we weren't born close enough to a school where we could mess around with computers at that time frame to actually have that opportunity, right? So there's no matter what, I don't care how powerful your mind is, I can't be Bill Gates. It's not possible, okay? But I happen to be born, how old are you guys?
I'm 23.
I'm 20.
Right, so you guys are like young. I don't even know if you guys are considered millennials. You might be beyond millennial. I don't know what the fuck you guys are, but like I was born at a time frame where I grew up in the 90s when technology was coming on. I played NBA Jam on a Nintendo 64. You guys heard of Nintendo 64, right? Like that's what I grew up playing. But I also experienced enough business before technology. Like I was in business before YouTube, before Instagram, before Facebook. I remember doing real estate transactions with a fax machine. You guys ever used a fax machine before? Right? So like fax machines just aren't normally used like they were. Now I can send a contract and I can get it digitally signed via computer. Back then I had to have printed off paper with a little sticky note that says sign here. Then I had to fax it and I had to have it go through this thing, and then we messed it up, so we had to redo it again. Like it took just a lot of time, effort, and energy, right? But I also was young enough where I had technology. I was one of the first ones on Facebook. I was really early adapter to Instagram, just like you guys probably, I'm guessing, have Snapchat. That seems to be like the thing, right? You're seeing TikTok come on, which is becoming a very popular program. Like if you're 45 right now or 50, you had the old school way of life and business, but you weren't on Instagram on the get-go, right? Like you see grandma using Facebook today and she doesn't quite understand how she gets it, but she's addicted to it. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just blessed enough to be born where I got both sides of that kind of spectrum, and it's really launched my business and just the opportunities that I have. I truthfully believe that people born between the ages of 30 and 40, if you're between 30 and 40 right now, you're born between like 1982 and 1995, you're probably the luckiest generation on the planet. If you're born after that, you're pretty damn lucky, but you're not quite as lucky as I am.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's social media, technology has all positively affected your business, right?
It's given me an opportunity for sure. If it wasn't social media, it would have been something else. And social media just happens to be part of, what's blessed me and been able to reach and create a network that's influenced other people.
Right. As far as like, affecting your personal life, do you think it's made it better, made it easier, or has it hindered it a little bit?
It depends on which area we're looking at with personal life. Obviously, it can become a distraction. I don't think social media is the issue. I think it's the addiction for people to have acceptance and approval of others with that like or that share, that right filter, or whatever. And there tends to be a little bit of a game for some business owners because we understand that, hey, if I can get X amount of followers and engagement, I know it's going to fill my funnel up and I know it's going to grow my business. So the issue isn't the social media. The issue is being addicted to business, right? And so it can become a distraction from your family, from maybe your spouse or your kids or that present moment of being with kids. All you have to do is walk into a restaurant today and people are like this. You guys saw me when we were starting this, right? Like I'm trying to get other texts or whatever, put an Instagram post up while we're doing this. And so that can be a distraction for sure. But the distraction isn't the social media. The distraction is wanting to be involved with it versus being here in the present moment. But it's also been a great gift, right? Like it's enhanced because now I've been able to, my best friend is Al Torrey. He's from Boca Raton, Florida. I met him through the internet and he joined my mastermind a few years ago. How many great relationships have I developed? You guys, I don't know who the fuck you guys are. And now all of a sudden we're having a conversation because of social media. So there's that great opportunity as well. But we do need to, like one of the things I'm really consistent with is spending time away from my device, meditating, breath work, and really centering myself. I think that's something that's going to be powerful going forward with technology because technology is not going away. In fact, we're going to go from mobile or from computer and you're going to start to see more wearable technology. You're going to start to see, who knows, in 30 years from now, we're going to have this motherfucker planted in behind our skull, right? I don't know what the future is. And so we have to just be mindful of that and remember who the fuck we are at our core. And we're not devices. We're not technology. We're not even our body. You think about it, we're not even our body. Our body is a vehicle that's being controlled from something beyond the body.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Do you think that'd be something you're open to? to get that phone just built into your head?
Dude, I don't know. We'll cross that fucking bridge when we come to it. But I used to say I will never use Apple Pay. Now I use Apple Pay all the freaking time. So who knows? It is a bit weird though, thinking about how this plugged in behind your skull. I don't know, man. And you think about it too, it's going to be a division in social classes, right? Because what is an iPhone? I don't know what the new 11 is what, $1,300 or something? How much is that technology going to cost to put that into your brain? Who's going to be able to afford it? Now, those people that can afford it, they're a little bit higher class of finances, and they're going to accelerate their learning. And the person that can't afford it, right, they're going to be slower in their development. And you're going to see a division in class if that really does happen.
Definitely. It could create even more disparity than we have now, which, is pretty unfortunate.
We don't have that much disparity. Like, think about people that grow up in the U.S. or Canada. We don't fucking know what disparity is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got it pretty fucking great. Here's what's so funny. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but at least here in the United States, people that are like in their early 20s, mid 20s, talking about how fucking challenging the United States are and how the policies need to change. And I fucking don't like my country, whatever. The fuck, go live in Afghanistan. Go fucking grow up in West Africa, motherfucker. Like, when I was on my mission in Brazil, I literally was at people's houses where you could look through their wall and you saw the outside. Streams of shit and piss are going past their front house. I bet you guys have never had to experience that. Most people in the United States do not have to experience that, right? Like, we've got it pretty fucking great here.
Oh, I'm on the same boat. Like, honestly, I've never it's like those people, like, you go to the McDonald's drive-thru and they're constantly complaining about getting the wrong order or whatever. Like, every time I get the wrong order, like at a fast food chain, I'm just like, dude, it's food, just eat it. Like,
right.
They're not getting a 5-star meal from there anyway.
Right.
It's the little things that the little things like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's I was talking to a friend about this the other day. I don't know if we're moving into a reality where I'm just becoming more aware, or if society and culture is becoming aware. I'm just not quite fucking sure, right? But there is definitely a shift of consciousness happening in our planet today, in our human existence, really.
Mm-hmm. I think that self-awareness is pretty existent in a lot of people, but some people take it too far and they kind of overexert it and, spread this negativity in a way that's like, dude, we don't care about what you have to say. It's like,
it's the whole first world problems thing.
There's two spaces in our existence. There's love space and then there's fear space. And when people come from that space of complaining or that victim, it's because they don't accept and approve of themselves. And so it's easier to identify with problems. For example, if people have some success or some victories, they're going to have people want to rip them down because they're whatever reason they're jealous or they're critical of it because they're experiencing problems in their life and they can't relate to that success. But you get a group of people that have some problems, they will fucking be best friends because they can relate to their fucking misery, right? The old saying, misery loves company. And that's where true leadership, there's a lack of leadership in our world today, especially in North America. And there's a huge demand for it. So if you can develop that skill of leadership, there's an attraction to leaders for whatever reason. For example, here's a great leader, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Who doesn't fucking love Dwayne Johnson? That guy has something that people want. That's a leadership. And so if we can develop that asset to where people want whatever that vibe is, whatever that energy is, okay? I talk to my mastermind partners and my students and my clients all the time about this. You guys are obviously attracted to me for some reason. And usually it's because of my authenticity and my ability to be honest and real. I usually say the shit that people are thinking in their head, but they don't want to say it because of political correctness. They might offend someone, right? And when we can get really authentic with ourselves, it allows us to be honest with other people, knowing that we're going to polarize the situation. And when we polarize the situation, it might mean we lose friends. It might mean that we lose followers. It might mean that we lose a lover or a relationship. But it also might mean we attract a lot of awesome fucking people. And that's someone like The Rock, that's what he's done. He has this way about him that people they just fucking obsessed over the dude. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.